Some things are better left unsaid. Take it from me, some things are better left unsaid.
Hello, welcome to our first ever episode. And yes, it's nice that you can join us. So, in a nutshell, the whole idea is that Jonathan and I are going to talk about religion and politics, the two things that people are not supposed to talk about, apparently. So, hence the name of the show. Yes, you have seen correctly. We have the same surname. We are brothers living on kind of opposite sides of the world. Jonathan is in New Zealand. I'm in England. And we're just going to chat about religion and politics. John, tell us your background.
So for the past 4 years, I have been studying theology and Bible in America. I've graduated recently, but I have been a Christian for coming up 25 years, actually. Been privileged to been raised in a Christian family, and so I've got to know how a lot about church growing up, and then kind of try to do my own thing for a little bit and come back, and then went to study. And my studies have definitely solidified most, if not all, of my beliefs. Some of them I kept from what I grew up with, and some of them I've adapted or changed a little bit. Looking to minister and be in the Christian circles, if there is that such a thing, in the future.
Oh, great. That basically answers one of the questions I was actually going to ask and see if growing up as a Christian and then studying theology actually made it easier or made it harder, in the sense of, what you're saying now, you've actually solidified your beliefs. So, I mean, that's good in a sense, isn't it?
Yeah. So some people that I've been studying with, were newer Christians or had a checkered past, and then they, really interested in all things Christianity. Studying at a Bible Institute that we were at, but it's a different ministry. I think that's what the key would be, is that I can't minister to this or as easily to the same people that they could. And so growing up, some people who also grew up Christian knew the Bible better than I did, depending on what type of children's kind of classes they were been to. I had a understanding of the spiritual side more than the average person, perhaps, or that's where my theology is based. And so some of it was a bit strange, or to know, okay, well, this is different, or this is change, or also always what I believed, and how come you don't believe the same? So I was challenged having grown up, and some people were coming in with a fresh, clean slate and try to suck everything in and trying to work it out. And so it has its pros and cons, but also some of it I grew up with my family's faith rather than just my own faith. And so that was nice to know that it's not it's based in my history, but it's fresh, and I can converse about it.
Do you think that faith and theology, because you study in America, do you think it's different? I mean, you grew up in South Africa, then you lived in Scotland, you lived in England a bit, you were briefly in France, but it wasn't really religion based. But and then now you're living in New Zealand, you studied in the US. Do you think that United States has got a different faith? If you studied somewhere else, for instance, not that I suppose you haven't studied, so you can't really answer this. It's hypothetical, but but do you think it played an influence?
Well, the UK, England and Scotland, as well as New Zealand, is more post-Christian or post religion, almost, in some senses, and America is not like that yet. And so although there was I saw actually some persecution in the streets of Chicago for Christian, like in and around our area. They knew that where we were studying was a Christian place. I think it would be a lot weightier in the UK and in New Zealand to be studying this. And what happened was that there was more Christian background people, like across America. There was a range of people. So from the west coast to the east coast and the south side, there were people coming to study. Whereas in the UK or New Zealand, it wouldn't be, I don't know, as stretched perhaps, or the representatives would be very local, the type of religion, I think. Whereas in America, it is a wide range. There's a different beliefs and different backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, which I found actually really interesting. Somewhere, maybe some of them were more nominal, but I think in the UK or in New Zealand, you have to, like in Asia, I would imagine as well, you have to be really going for what you believe is stronger before. Otherwise, you get a bit more persecuted, or you're in a bit of a harsher environment. Whereas I think America is better in it's more open, freer to converse about what you believe.
I mean, that's very true what you say. I mean, and you can see from what we're seeing, I'm on Twitter quite a lot now, especially trying to be involved in politics and trying to build up, I suppose, building information and build up followers and just trying to find out more about it. I'm seeing a lot of, religion being tied to, obviously, we're using religion in a broad sense of actually Christianity. We're not meaning the actual, nitty gritty, if we can say, the boring part of Christianity. But
sorry, could you flesh it out just slightly, or is that a later topic?
No. Well, yeah, we can possibly talk about it later. But I'm more meaning, people talk about, are you religious? And then some people take offense because no, I'm not religious. I'm not a Roman Catholic, or I'm not Anglican, or Methodist. I don't strictly follow, wear robes and strictly follow a set of rules. A lot of Baptists and charismatic and other denominations, they feel like religion is almost a confinement word. But what I'm trying to say now, when I'm saying religious, I mean religion. I'm meaning people who practice Christianity or faith there, or faith in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be Christianity, but for the purpose of this podcast and video chats and stuff, I think we will mainly referring to Christianity. But what I notice is Americans tie their voting or their politics go like very hand in hand with their belief. It's almost like I'm a Christian, so I have to be a Republican, but which I used to think that was the case. But recently I've been following a lot of people who are saying they're Democrats, but Christian. So it's very interesting because it almost feels like obviously I don't know anything. Well, I don't know much about American politics, but it feels like a very steeper hills, a very bigger burden, if I could say that, to say that, because obviously the Democrats in America are a lot more liberal than Republicans. Did you find that? Did you find that kind of people said, I'm a Christian, I'm a Republican, or it was an automatic if you're Democrat? Did you consider not, or was it not as tied down religion and politics there?
Yeah, I think one of the issues with this is that we didn't talk much about politics.
Okay.
Precisely one of the reasons why this chat is happening is because we were in a religious setting, and so we'd rather you can stay away from politics because we're already in one of the two suggested non-first date topics. You don't pick up politics and religion, and we're in religion, so then you don't bring a second.
Shoot yourself in the foot, you know.
yeah, like 2 feet. Like, no, that's no good. So I don't know if there is a bit of tying to that previously. I'm not sure in the new voters or the younger voters if that exists. I know though that some of the what they stand for in each department, because of they have a religious background, therefore their policies lean a certain way, and so not necessarily tied just to religion, but what they are voting against or what they are trying to not take through into Parliament or across America in general. I think that lines. So there is still a bit, I think, how can you vote for certain things if you're a Christian? I don't know if we can cut this out, or you say abortion is a big one of the things. So like, if you're a Christian and voting for a party that's okay with abortion, and then you're in deep water, because those two, at least for most people, I don't know if you would agree, like is counterintuitive, you know. If you believe in life and believe that life is important, then you have to somehow work that into your politics as well.
That's I mean, that's a big topic, and we will get to one of these episodes, one of these talks at one point. But it's a big one, and a lot of people say you can't be a Christian and vote for abortion, which it is. It's a tough one, and we'll cover that on a different one. I know up until recently here in the UK, if we can bring it home a bit, there's not been a party that you can actually vote for that is against abortion, which is pretty hectic. I mean, all the top parties were all saying yes, on the mandate, so they're all saying, yeah, we got it. Some are trying to make it worse. Well, they all were actually, except for the Conservatives, as far as I know, were trying to make it worse and worse and more liberal.
Worse in your opinion?
Worse in my opinion, yes. That is true. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. One of the things, that's one of the reasons I'm getting into politics here in the UK, is to be a party that stands up with Christian morals and says, we don't agree with this, or we do agree with that, and X, Y, Z. And that's another reason for all these chats, are because I've spoken to some Christians, to some pastors here, that say they definitely believe that Christians should be in politics, but they don't think there should be actually a Christian party. They think Christians should be in the different parties that already exist, the non-Christian parties, if you could say that, and actually then just be Christians and vote with their conscience, which I found quite interesting, because growing up in South Africa, there was always a Christian party, the African Christian Democratic Party. There was always there, and there's always, there's other parties that call themselves Christians. So it was just part of our culture. That's just what it was, And I know, I mean, for instance, in Germany, since the late 1930s, the Christian Democratic Party has been running, has been active, and they've been, at the moment they're in power. The party itself is in power. I don't know if Angela Merkel is a Christian, but that's not for me to say. But that's just saying that for 80 odd years they've been in power. So it's in some countries you can be a Christian party, and so I find it very strange that some Christians don't think that there should be a party. I could understand.
What are the benefits then of having Christians in parties that are currently running and having a Christian Democratic Party? I imagine one of the issues is that you might not originally get a high enough percentage to be able to be vocal, to be able to change policies, and so perhaps one of the arguments is that you go with a party that is a bit more influential, and then you try make a stand there. Is that the argument, or is there what is the pros of having our own Christian Democratic Party then?
Yeah, I mean, good question. I mean, the thing is, I mean, last year we had a general election, early December last year, and in the run up towards it, you know, everybody sticking their hands up saying, you know, I'm going to run, and there was a Labour MP who was an MP for Labour for 12 years, and he actually changed to the Lib Dems, Liberal Democrats, and then he put on Twitter he had he was anti homosexuality and anti this and anti that, and then within hours the Lib Dems come and say, listen, no, we're not taking him, we don't agree with his views, so he doesn't, so they dropped him, and there he was. So I mean, regardless if he was a good MP or not, because of his views, he got dropped. And there's a few scenarios like that. I actually believe that there was one of the leaders of the Lib Dems originally was saying he's struggling to be a Christian and be a politician because with his views are conflicting. He's trying to believes one thing but he can't say another because of the party he's in. So you have to stand down. And I've I know of in the Conservatives there are our MP for us. He's a Christian and he votes with his conscience, and he often gets ridiculed for voting. Like they call him a dinosaur, you're voting old stuff, such old way of thinking. But he's a Christian, but he's voting, he's trying to be the voice of morality in the Conservatives. So there's all, which is great. I mean, but I think it's very easy for your voice to be silenced in such a large party, and you only only a handful of Christians, where because they're still saying certain things, and you can't whatever. So as we saying we're a Christian party, and here we are, this boom 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 boom, this is black and white, we don't believe in this, don't believe in this. So if anybody, regardless if they're Christian or not, if they think, yes, I don't believe that tomatoes should be sold on Sundays, for argument's sake, I'm not saying that's a policy, I'm just making one up. Then if for all those people, regardless of who they are, what their background are, is, they can then vote for us knowing that this is what we're standing for, and, they can say that. So yes, it is harder. It's to try, be a smaller fish in a big pond. In the beginning, I think it's difficult, and it's harder. But it's like, I don't know. It's like going to McDonald's. You know what you're gonna get. If you go to McDonald's in the US, you buy the same Big Mac. You go to Scotland, go to New Zealand, it's gonna taste the same. So you know what to expect. So you can feel secured in that. So if we start branding, if Christian parties, let's leave it as, say it's not us then, Christian parties around the world, if they're saying this is who we are and this is what we stand for, then it's kind of becomes a brand, that people can feel, secure in knowing that if they vote for them, they're not voting for, for abortion, and they're not voting for assisted suicide or XYZ, just different things. So I think this becomes I don't know, I suppose there's arguments for both, but that's what we're talking about, that's why.
Okay.
But yeah, just to get back to my background is I've always been involved in politics. I've always had an eye for politics. I'm a big believer that, you shouldn't just moan about things. It really bothers me that people just moan and moan and moan, especially now with social media. You should see a lot more, but then they don't do anything about it. It's like sitting outside and just saying, this rain's horrible, I really hate the rain. But then you just don't go get an umbrella. Why don't you get an umbrella? So I wanted to be one of those people who actually went and got an umbrella, and then not only got one for myself, but then decided, listen, that guy over there needs an umbrella, so I'll go get him one, or I'll try make a difference so that he is allowed to have an umbrella.
Very appropriate in the UK to be speaking about.
Well, I thought for people over here they would understand that analogy. but that's what it is. So yes, from when I was a teenager, then I got involved in even standing at the voting ballot boxes and just to check everything was fine. I've done some counting of votes. I've been involved, and yes, I mean last year I just jumped in, and that's where I am, and that's what brought us here now. Being involved in politics, you being involved in theology. I thought it would be great to talk about those things that people think are not supposed to be talked about. And that's
So why
basically
then?
it.
Why then do people say don't talk about politics or don't talk about religion? What is the is it only like a first date type thing, or at what level can you switch across between speaking about Christian Democratic Party or your beliefs or um, you know theology and religion? What's the
Well, I mean that's a difficult one because I think because it's so embedded in us, both in our belief system, and in a sense, politics is another belief, isn't it? I mean, you brought up, your parents raised you with a certain belief system in politics and life, and then also in religion. So when people start debating it and you start getting resistance and getting people's oh, actually no that's stupid or no or people it's very rare that someone's going to change their opinion about religion or politics because it comes with them such a long time. It's not it's not like you've gone and bought a new t-shirt and your wife's like, nah, I don't like it. You're like, okay, well, I'll just take it back. It's not something that's just happened. It's something that's embedded. It's like it's part of you.
so they wouldn't change it right in that moment, or they wouldn't change it in a long time, or
yeah, well, definitely. I don't think. Well, it depends how open someone is and how persuasive someone else is for arguments. How a good argument person makes. But I don't think anybody's ever that unless there's a greater fear or desire driving them to not change. That's the only reason they wouldn't change. I know in the Middle East, there's a lot of, possibly in Asia as well, there's people that want to change religions or believing in something else, but then they have such a fear of death, which being put to death or being ostracized by their family and community, that
a
they
real
don't
fear.
a proper fear, like it's actually it happens, so then they wouldn't even consider it or even talk about it. Where for us at dinner parties, everybody wants to get along. You don't want to have a heated debate and start throwing stones at each other, and and I think that's what it is, because we could talk about the weather, we could talk even sports. I mean, some people get really, really passionate about their sports, but in the end of the day, you kind of like, oh well, it's your team. You like that team is fine, and I like my team, but if I start stepping on your toes, it's
But
not going to do
I think that's the key right there. So I think the key is that you one of the reasons why we don't talk about it is, as you say, is because it's really deep in the heart. But the second thing you said was about change, or about people won't ever change. And I think that's the key issue, is that if you are in a conversation in order to try to change a person's mind, I think we're missing something there. That yes, for religion purposes, I believe that it's better to be a follower of a Trinitarian God, Jesus, than it is to be any other one. However, I'm open to debating or to discussing your religion or what you believe, whether or not you're going to change. Hopefully, maybe down the line, you would see that my view is better. But I think that's the difference, is when you are not debating, or when you're saying like my way is better, even in sports, then people are not interested. They're not going to say, if I think the Blue Bulls are the best team in the world and I'm never going to change, and you better believe that too, then it's an issue. But because I don't hold so fast to the fact that the Blue Bulls are the best team, then it's okay for you to disagree. But then that's when it gets into politics and religion, is many people have and should have a strong opinion about what they believe religiously and maybe politically as well. And so that's when it gets heated, I think, is when I'm not going to move. But if you can possibly have a neutral ground of we're just going to be talking about these things, and we should be open to chatting on an even flat surface, and you don't have to change and I don't have to change in this moment, but perhaps we can move forward or open our minds. And I think that's a key thing, is when you on a first date you can't do that, or in a party setting perhaps you can't make sure that we're all on that type of playing field. You can't measure everybody's reaction, so I can be in charge of my own reaction when a person brings up the subject. But I think that's the dangerous part of when you're bringing up these deeper background issues or beliefs, is that if we can all just stay on like, well, this is what you believe and I'm okay with, I'm happy with you, I love you, or I care for you enough to not go off my moral rocker, and then that's we can chat, we can talk about it. And so perhaps that's why you don't bring it up, and that's why you can bring it up later on in a relationship or in a party, or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. On that note, I don't, the whole point of these chats are not really to persuade anybody left or right necessarily. If that happens, that's it's up to the person who's listening to them or watching them. But I think the whole idea of this is actually behind is just to chat about it, is to have an open discussion about it, is to have different views, to see from a political side what's look at something, and then from a theological side. Tune in for other episodes if you would like to watch some more. As you can see, we see the chat is very open. Send us some topics or any questions you might have, and we hope to see you on the next chat, whenever that may be. Thanks, John. Appreciate that. It was lovely to chat to you.
It was good.
And we'll see you on the flip side.
Sounds good. Bye.
Some things are better left unsaid.